Yes, definitely opt in. And the other thing we need to do is have more beds of all kinds at every level. There are people who need mental health lockdown facilities. We don't have enough beds there. There was this thing in the paper that there were 50 more beds, but that's actually not true. There were only 26, and that's a very small amount. We also need beds in supportive housing, in shelter, in regular affordable housing, and market rate. I mean, in every single type of place for people to live inside, we are wildly constrained. And it's very complicated. People's lives are very complicated.
And not getting access to it. They're cycling in and out of our shelters, and instead of using our shelters as actually an entry point and to on-ramp people onto greater...
For people to be, so they're not just sort of camped out on the sidewalk. The other one, and that would also help people who are in SROs, who live in small spaces, and they're not homeless, but they take a chair out of their unit and they sit on the sidewalk all day because that's their living room. They have nowhere else to go. I also strongly believe in safe injection sites and would want to make sure the model is adapted to the goal of reducing street drug use. And then finally, I strongly believe the government needs to be accountable for the state of our sidewalks. I love our CBD partners, and I'm not saying they should go away, but right now, private property owners are the ones that are responsible for the sidewalks. And it's one of the reasons why you go up to the Gold Coast, and it's lovely, and you can eat off the clay, and down here, not so much. You can't do that. And so I want to make sure that the government is accountable, which means that we would invest more in pit stops, we would invest more in street cleaning, we would invest much more in having regular schedules for cleaning and for making sure that the outsides of our buildings and our sidewalks are clean.
Deal with these problems. There was a supplemental that was put forward that was not passed in full that said that we should actually spend money on street cleaning and trash cans and bathrooms in places where the biggest problem is, which is in our district. Instead, when they passed the streamers and they put 4 in each district, which is completely ridiculous. So as district supervisor...
Yeah, I think the root causes of dirty streets are homelessness and drug use, and so we should do what we can to address these things, and I will talk more about specific ways of addressing those and the questions that are for that. I want to talk now about what it means to keep the city accountable, because I definitely agree the city has to be accountable for the streets. And specifically, the supervisor's office has to be accountable for mayor. That's right. And so showing the city that we don't stand up for that.
An ideology, you actually need someone who holds City Hall and the mayor's office accountable to our residents and our needs. That's what I'm focused on, and that's what I'm committed to doing.
And Christine, what do you think of Supervisor Jane Kim's performance?
So, you know what, I always like to start with the positive. I'm a positive person. I'm going to stay positive, because I'm about getting work done. And so I like to focus on when others have gotten work done. I think Supervisor Kim has done every single week on introducing changes to how the city works. So that's how I be different. And, you know, she's turned out. So hopefully we are going to have somebody else.
Sonia, do you want another crack at that question, or are you good?
Yeah, I didn't get this one. Okay. Let's tell a specific story. So about a year and a half ago, the Mayor's Office of Housing partnered with a church in Forest Hill, near the Forest Hill Muni. The church wanted to build 150 units.
Forward. So I hope that some of you in the audience may have already seen how responsive I am. When my volunteers phone bang or when I phone...
There's 21 parking garages. They're all under parked, so we can put up shelter. And then there has to be a police partnership with this. Once we have shelter and safe injection sites, we have to bring the police in and let them help people understand.
And Sonia?
Yeah, I think I'm the only candidate that's been actually explicit who qualify for affordable housing, because you might want to live in a neighborhood by the beach. You know, all of our neighborhoods should be accessible to people who maybe have no income because they're old or on disability, or low income because they have a low-wage job and they have a family. San Franciscans, I think, believe that they believe in integration, but our land use code does not show that. This is a time when you can vote for somebody that's going to do something really ambitious and say, San Franciscans, let's actually walk the walk. Let's legalize affordable housing all over the city. The reason that I say that affordable housing is illegal is that affordable housing has to be apartment housing. And in 80% of the city, you cannot build apartment housing. You can build like a duplex. So we have to legalize high-density housing everywhere. And now is your chance to vote for somebody who's going to make that.
Street services, lighting, all of the things that I think make for a healthy, safe, thriving community. That's what I'm going to focus on. I have a track record of getting things done and being a doer. I've delivered again and again on tough issues at the school board. I've served my community effectively. I have the support of all K through 12 schools. I will be on the ground, I will be effective, and I will be for you. That's what I think that we need for from the next District 6 supervisor, and I'd love to have your support.
I do think this is a super important election. And I also, it is hard to see. I mean, even up for me, we do all of these events, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's true. That sounds smart. That's pretty good. We've talked a lot about accountability today.